Hi everyone, my name is Natasha Skult and I am one of the founders of MiTale, an indie game development studio from Finland, passionate about games that focus on narrative and interactive storytelling experiences regardless of the platform. Our team of experienced developers believe that stories are what make the most immersive impact on the players and guide the emotional journey throughout the gameplay. This is what QuillScape Podcast is all about, discussing topics of game design and storytelling, best practices in developing narrative-driven games by sharing own experiences and with the guests from the industry. We aim to air bi-weekly episodes with average length of 10 to 20 minutes, making sure we keep it short and sweet. Are you ready? Let's play! Hi everyone, and welcome back to QuillScape Podcast. My name is Natasha, and in this episode I will continue with the introduction to the world of C.L.A.Y, The Last Redemption, focusing on the characters and locations in the game. Well, at least what we wish to share at this point. Before we get to the topic, a small recap. C.L.A.Y, The Last Redemption is set in post-apocalypse several generations after the collapse of civilization. The survivors of the apocalypse live in the tribal societies and tell stories of the day the cities came alive and devoured all who lived in them. The game combines Sunless Sea or Sunless Sky style explorative gameplay on a procedurally generated hex grid map with Disco Elysium style narrative mechanics. The player will use RPG-like skills, their companions and resources to overcome various challenges in their travels, while following a number of different possible story threads towards one or multiple endings. The main game mechanics are within exploration, multi-layered story, and time-limited quests. Each of the game mechanics provide player with multiple playthroughs, uncovering the content and abilities based not just on the player's choices in the game, but also not made choices. Every act of exploration, building in-game relationships, and interacting with different items lead to a new version of the gaming experience. Now, let's talk about the characters. The crew that player assembles can have 5 specialists that each give a bonus to one of the 5 skills. In the beginning, player can pick one and the rest will be acquired through various events and completed tasks or challenges. Specialists can also be lost through events or when player risks them in skill checks, in which case they will be lost forever. Each specialist has a name and a representation as mainly involved with one of the story locations. They also have own associated stories. The main specialists are Wulfrig, the shaman. Old and wise, they're exceedingly interested in finding out the truth about the world. What a city is, what happened before, what the umbroscope is, and so on. They're ready to sacrifice anyone and anything to get to the bottom of things. Unless picked at the start, they are not technically a shaman, but a healer. They are also very good at getting people to do things, and can keep them alive when doing so. Bar, the war chief, is one of the young braves. If picked at the start, they are one of the military advisors. Otherwise, they can be found through a special event. Their defining feature is their fearlessness, which they regularly inspire others as well, although it can make them reckless. Chi, the trickster, is a wanderer, someone who travels without a tribe and survives alone. Sometimes they travel for a time with others, sometimes in small groups, but often they're entirely alone. A survivor who has seen and learned things not even the wisest shamans can dream of, and understands the city in a way few do. Geard, the clay worker, is a clay guild foreman, someone who leads the other clay workers. They work in a quasi-spiritual kind of way and see clay as a living force with a spirit that inhabits it. Golden clay is something that has never seen before, and something he is fascinated by. Feini, the packmaker, is a trader and as such used to dealing with tribes of all sorts. They are often the most quiet person in the tent, but they rarely, if ever, back down and will win over with reason, passion, or if nothing else, threats. Now let's talk about locations. There are 5 main story locations, each corresponding roughly to one resource, as well as referencing one specialist. These do not necessarily overlap. To find the story location, player will need the clues. Several clues can be received from the Ombroscope, 1 clue from the associated specialist, and 1 to 2 clues from the events in the world. 1 clue can be received also from the associated location. So the main locations are the dig. The opening is set underneath a perpetually collapsed skyscraper, the location quite hard to find. In order to reach the opening, they first have to dig into the deepest area of the building, which is requiring a lot of tribesmen. The war golem, an ancient arbitrary weapon of war that produces its own golem soldiers. It is foreign to the city and will often fight with the city's own defenders. No one has ever taken it on directly. It was built in a post-apocalypse by the Claymancers and sent to put a stop to the city. The remaining golden clay took over the war golem and has been doing its best to survive, becoming year by year more traumatized and without direction. The veil. Player will need to collect a piece from a dissembler bot, but not one that is in fight mode, since then it needs to be destroyed. Instead, player needs to ambush one in the area that is actively being disassembled. Hunger engine. Player will need to acquire an enigmatic eating engine that, once activated, will require a constant input of organic matter in order to slowly produce the item you're looking for. One can carry it along the journey, but it will require food every day, more than your fellow tribesmen. The factory. The Ombroscope directs the player to begin making repairs in a giant, distance-sized machine of some kind, repairing multiple different parts of the machine by manufacturing tools out of clay according to the Ombroscope's blueprints. The machine has been overrun with the sentient plants, making all work there very dangerous. In order to finish the game, player needs to complete at least 3 out of 5 of these story locations. Aside from the first one, player will be given the locations by studying the Ombroscope. Each location will have several timers, difficult skill checks, and resource requirements of various kinds. Each location also helps with a different location, meaning each location fits together in 3 ways: the main resource used, the main specialist needed, and a main other location that unlocks something in it. This is all we wish to share at this point, as we wish to have a free demo available on our Steam page during the summer. So we are hoping you would be interested to test the game and give us your feedback. If you wish to test the demo, you can go to our Steam page and wishlist the game. That way, you will get updates and notifications when our demo will be live. In the upcoming episodes, we are going to have multiple guests from the games industry, so stay tuned. That's it for this episode. We will continue discussing this topic further, so make sure to follow our show at MiTale.fi/podcast. There you will find our notes after each episode, and we would love to hear your comments, questions, and feedback. Feel free to share this episode with the fellow storytelling creators and spread the love.